Welcome back. Making news this morning. The bodies of Australian teenagers Bianca Jones and Holly Bowles have returned home. Their parents also arriving back in Melbourne overnight as police arrest 8 people in Laos.
The 19-year-olds are 2 of the 6 killed by a suspected mass methanol poisoning. For more, let's bring in civil trial lawyer Jack Gordon, who's live from Tampa in the US. Jack, what have we heard from the police so far?
Not enough, unfortunately, Dave. You know, we're talking again about a communist government, one party with no opposition, and the media is controlled by the government. So unfortunately, we don't have a wealth of information. But what we do know is that young people, kids who are otherwise taking time off from university or spending their holiday season abroad, backpacking through Southeast Asia, have adversely been affected. You know, 6 kids are now dead. One guy from New Zealand, a United States citizen, young man. Two ladies from the United Kingdom, as well as from Australia, and just a tragic circumstance. It's sad on so many levels, different levels of abstraction here. And unfortunately, we're going to see a lot of this, given the fact that from a technological perspective, you know, people are traveling throughout the world much more freely than they were 20, 30, 40 years ago. And unfortunately, there are still hazards that we face and confront, especially when we go to cultures that are unlike our own.
Well, Jack, that's why we wanted to speak to you on this morning, because you have some experience in this area. You worked on a case with your client, Carla Stefanik, who was killed overseas in Costa Rica. Explain this situation for us and some of the similarities between that case and this one in Laos.
Yeah, here's what we find. In all fairness, those people who live in more socioeconomically sophisticated countries like Australia, like Great Britain, like the United States, there's a certain degree there's a cavalier attitude because we live in a very insulated society. We live with governmental controls, with regulation, with safety, with law enforcement. And in countries that some of these kids are traveling to, they don't have the same types of regimes. They don't have the same types of controls in effect. In Australia, you guys have the TGA, right? And as a result, there are systems in place, personnel and systems, to make sure what you are consuming is safe for you and isn't otherwise a hazard. Here in the United States, we have the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. You know, out in Laos, in Cambodia, in Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, they don't have these same regulatory authorities. And as a result, there's a tremendous freedom among independent business owners to utilize things like alcohol in a dangerous way.
So, you know, how realistic is it? You know, there's going to be a lot of hurt in Australia today, in Melbourne, those families coming in, they're collecting the bodies of their daughters, and it's unthinkable. And I think Australians' hearts have really opened up to this family too, and because it could have been any one of us travelling in our time, or it could be any one of our children. So is there any sort of justice that could be sought legally in another country? You've had experience on this. Can it happen?
I have. Again, in our case, we brought an action in federal court here in the United States. Again, there are certain treaties between Costa Rica and the United States. So there are 2 essential styles of law, if you will, 2 fields of law. One is criminal and one is civil. As a citizen, we don't have the ability to bring criminal action any more than someone in Laos has the ability to charge the hostile owners with a crime. Again, that's ultimately up to the authorities. But even in Laos, there is a civil justice system that enables you to prosecute a claim for compensation if, in fact, there's been something done bad to you. You have suffered injuries or otherwise been damaged as a result of an intentional act or a negligent act. And in all fairness, based upon the information that we have been garnering and otherwise have received, this appears not to be an intentional mass poisoning. Rather, it's a function of business owners trying to make a better profit. You know, methanol and ethanol are very, very similar. Methanol has 1 carbon atom and ethanol has 2. Ethanol is the wine, the whiskey that we drink on a routine basis, and in moderation, it's fine. Down under, you guys are drinking Foster's in the shade. But again, that's ethanol alcohol, and your body is able to essentially assimilate that without hazard. Methanol is not for human consumption. No. It can be toxic in very, very small levels and very, very small degrees. Well, why would you drink methanol rather than ethanol? There's no reason. It's not as if the euphoric effect is any greater. No, but it's a tremendous amount cheaper for the salesperson, for the vendors, for the people who are serving it. It's like 1/5 of the price of ethanol alcohol. And as a result, that's what we have here in this tragedy in Laos.
Exactly. Jack, we appreciate your time this morning. Thank you. We'll see you soon. Stay with us.